A big news is coming from the Middle East. Hamas has agreed to hand over Gaza administration to a committee of independent technocrats. Now, is it a step toward peace or stability, or whether it is just another temporary agreement? In this particular video, we're going to discuss this in entire detail and try to break down what is changing in Gaza Strip, how is it important, and how it is going to reshape the future of Gaza. So first of all, to give you the background of this particular topic, we know that recently Hamas and Israel agreed to a certain sort of ceasefire after Trump put forward his 20-point plan. Now, Hamas has been ruling Gaza Strip, that is located in the western part of the we can talk about, of the entire Israeli territory, and is open toward the Mediterranean Sea. Now, in the last couple of years, we have seen a lot of conflict taking place between Israel and Hamas, especially after the October 7, 2023 attack. However, in the recent Cairo meeting of Palestinian factions, it has agreed that it will finally hand over the control of Gaza Strip and will no longer control, administratively at least, the Gaza Strip as far as the Gaza Strip is concerned. Announcement has come after the agreement was reached among several of the Palestinian factions such as Fatah and Hamas as well. Technocrat committee will be formed to manage Gaza Strip, and this entire operation will take place with the help of Arab nations as well as United Nations. Now, when we talk about Technocrat committee, what basically it means? It means that the administration of Gaza will now controlled by independent experts from the Palestine themselves. Obviously, it is going to be a temporary administration, and the main objective of this particular group will be to focus on daily services and providing relief to the people of Gaza who has suffered significantly in the last couple of years due to continuous Israeli bombardment. Also, this effort will be supported by international partners, as we have discussed before. Now, the entire ceasefire framework is based on the Trump broker deal. We know that US President Donald Trump has put forward a 20-point plan, and under this, two major clauses were included. One was the administrative control of Gaza Strip would be is something that Hamas will have to hand over to some other organization, and second, Hamas will have to ensure its complete or full disarmament. There is going to be a step-by-step implementation where Israel also has to ensure that it will not carry out any kind of airstrikes or any kind of major attacks against the territory of Gaza as such. Overall goal of this entire ceasefire framework or peace plan was to ensure a long-term stability, and also to ensure that the destruction that Gaza Strip has faced in last couple of years can be reverted, and reconstruction effort has to be ensured here. Now, as far as the position of Hamas is concerned, it has obviously accepted the handover of governance. As we have discussed, this was one of the clauses as stated in the 20-point plan. However, at the same time, it has completely rejected the demand to disarm itself. That means it has stated that as long as there is no security guarantee, weapons is something that Hamas soldiers and Hamas cadres cannot simply leave, and that is why they will not disarm also unless and until statehood of Palestine is cleared, or there is a complete agreement about creation of a state of Palestine. Now, apart from that, also we have to understand that as a response of this, US and Israel both have put forward their response. Trump has stated in the initial time, he has stated that if Hamas does not agree with the disarmament, it will have to be disarmed by force if required. However, in the recent time, he has softened his stance, where he has given a mixed signal on not putting any kind of timeline that when or by what time Hamas should completely disarm itself. On the other hand, Secretary of State of United States of America Marco Rubio has stated that Hamas must disarm itself. There is no other alternative. There is no other way as such. Israel, on the other hand, also has completed its first phase commitment as far as the ceasefire and overall halting of military operations are concerned. Now, the biggest question that comes into mind is that the ground for the this what we call as the transfer of administrative control was put forward by the Trump's peace plan, but what actually it means for Gaza and the people who are living in the Gaza, or the refugees who now would have possibility to move back to their homes, albeit it is destroyed. So first of all, there is a possibility that it will cause an end to the single party rule that Gaza Strip has witnessed in last almost 20 years as such, and this also means that Hamas, who was ruling Gaza Strip since 2006. The ideology, the especially extremist ideology with which it used to rule the strip, will be weakened as such. On the other hand, now the administrative control will be vested in a neutral expert committee. So we can see a development of a well-functioning civil services, well-functioning what we can call as a committee as such, and that means the ideology-based governance will be replaced by a functional bureaucratic system. Now, it is also believed that such kind of system will provide a better access and easier access for the citizens of Gaza, for the residents of Gaza to access foreign aid. Not only that, it will also ensure that the fund for reconstruction can easily flow in the Gaza Strip. That means now Israel should not have any problem in the international involvement as far as the Gaza Strip is concerned for the reconstruction as well as in the humanitarian effort. Apart from that, also we can see a reduction in the overall military control over the daily life of citizens and residents of the Palestine and Gaza as such, and this might lead to improved humanitarian condition. Now, if you try to understand the reason why the military control is very important point to understand here is because as long as Hamas was in the control of Gaza, there was a possibility of Israel targeting its soldiers, Israel targeting its cadre, and that is why even in that time we can see human casualties as a what you can call as this collateral damages. So this is something we can see gradually reducing in intensity in the coming years. Apart from that, we also have to understand that it might signal potential economic revival of Gaza Strip, because from the last couple of years you can see since the entire infrastructure has been completely decimated, any kind of economic development is something that we could not even have thought about. Employment opportunities were completely amiss. So this might again we see changing on the ground as such. The new employment generation activities, especially led by construction and all, we might see in the near future. Apart from that, there's a possibility of a political reconciliation as well. We know that as far as the Palestinian territory is concerned, it is divided into two parts. One, you have the Gaza Strip that is in the western part, and then you have the West Bank that is on the eastern side, that is along the borders, international border of Jordan and Israel. So if talk about the West Bank, it is controlled by another organization called as Fatah, while Gaza Strip till now at least was controlled by Hamas as such. Now, since Hamas has already lost control over Gaza, there might be some sort of political reconciliation that how both groups should reconcile and put forward the demand for creation of a separate state as such. However, we also have to be worried about risk as also, because if disarmament effort fails or get stalled, in that case again Israel will have valid ground to resume its offensive and military campaign and operations against Gaza, and that would again put entire situation you can talk about that seems to be at least moving toward peace in a jeopardy as such. Overall, we can understand that the entire situation, how it evolves in the coming weeks or even month and a year, depends on to what extent Gaza Strip and its residents are able to get international support and security, to what extent reconstruction is made possible. Future outlook seems to be we have to be very cautious, though we have to be cautious in optimistic manner also, because the transition phase through which Gaza Strip is passing through is very critical here. Monitoring has to be done by Arab League and United Nations, and overall disarmament again remains core dispute, and the success of this particular Gaza peace plan and Gaza peace model depends on to what extent both groups, whether it is Israel or Hamas, are able to do what at least they are saying. And this can create a model for Palestinian unity in the future and can propel the entire region onto the path of peace, progress and development. That is at least our hope. So that is all about this particular video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your aspirants, and subscribe channel for more such content. Thank you very much.